بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد قد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا قضيتم الصلاة فاذكروا الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبكم فإذا اطمأننتم فأقيموا الصلاة إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا وقال تعالى اتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال أول ما يحاسب به العبد يوم القيامة من عمله صلاته فإن صلحت فقد أفلح وأنجح وإن فسدت فقد خاب وخسر. رواه الترمذي أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا فقها وإخلاصا وحلما أما بعد. We see that in our lives today there are many different actions that we do, whether inconsistently or on a routinely basis. And the rate at which we do these actions is based upon the varying levels of importance these actions have in our eyes. For example, for a certain individual, he goes to work. And now, this is the corner action of his routine. That every single action that he does, it revolves around him going to work. That if one day he has to work overtime, he has to work extra hours, he is ready to do that. That every single thing besides working becomes flexible and he's ready to give up time with his family, he's ready to give up his time alone or whatever it may be to sacrifice it for that one pivotal action that he sees. And what is considered that cornerstone action varies from person to person. For example, for a student, for him the most important thing might be studying. That if he has a test, he may spend long hours into the night studying, sacrificing sleep, maybe even forgetting to eat. And now when we dive into the lives of Sahaba radhiyallahu ta'ala anhum, we see that what was this cornerstone action for the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum and for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When we look in the life of Abdullah bin Zubayr radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu, a Sahabi known for being courageous, known for being a person who worshipped Allah. That one day he was in his house and he was performing salah. And while he was performing his salah, a snake, it came from the roof. A snake, it came from the roof, and his son, small son Hashim, he was sitting on the side. And the snake came and it coiled around his son. Now obviously that raised alarms, and they were shouting from the other family members as they tried to take that snake away so that it would not kill the son and try to throw it out of the house. And while this entire commotion was going on, Abdullah bin Zubayr remained in his salah. He continued praying. And this wasn't because he saw his son was in danger and decided to ignore that. But rather, Abdullah bin Zubayr, he was so engrossed in his salah that he was not mentally aware of what was going on around him. And this is not just with Abdullah bin Zubayr or one specific Sahabi. There's countless stories like this in the lives of Sahaba which show the importance they showed towards salah. How much concentration and devotion they had in their salah. In an expedition, when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and the Sahaba they were coming back from Dhatul Riqa. And on the way back, they stopped, they set up camp, and it was nighttime. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he asked that who will stand guard in the night in case any enemy approaches. So two Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum, Abid bin Bishr and Ammar bin Yasir radhiyallahu anhu, they volunteered for the task. And Abid bin Bishr radhiyallahu anhu, he said to Ammar radhiyallahu anhu that I'll stand guard first for the first half of the night, you can go to sleep, and then we'll switch off. So seeing that he had a few hours in front of him, he began to pray, the Hajj Salah. And now as he's praying his Salah, he does not notice an enemy creeping up behind him. And the enemy sees that he's just standing there, he knocks an arrow and he shoots it. And the arrow strikes him. But then, to his amazement, he just keeps praying. And he's confused. Maybe the arrow didn't strike him. So then he shoots a second arrow. And once again, nothing. No response. No reaction. And now when he shoots that third arrow, he finally breaks his salah. He breaks his salah and he wakes up Ammar bin Yasir radhiyallahu ta'ala anh, telling him that there's an enemy nearby, that wake up the other Muslims. And Ammar bin Yasir radhiyallahu anh, seeing that he's bleeding profusely, he says, why did you not wake me up earlier? And Ammar bin Yasir radhiyallahu anh, he's amazed by the scene in front of him. There's 3 arrows lodged in his body. So Abid bin Bishr radhiyallahu ta'ala anh, he responds that, I didn't break my salah because I was in pain or any of those reasons. Rather, I was experiencing so much ladha, so much pleasure in my salah that I actually wanted to continue, despite that third arrow being shot. But the only reason I broke my salah was out of fear that I may lose my life because of blood loss. And if I lost my life, then I would not be fulfilling the responsibility Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had given me for guarding the Muslim camp and not waking them up. Otherwise, if it had not been for that, I would have continued praying. Now, when we hear this type of stories, we are shocked. We hardly believe it. That how can they be so engrossed in their salah? How can they have so much concentration in their salah? And we think, and we introspect, and we think about our own salahs, and we see the vast disparity between the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum salah and our salah. That even if a fly were to come on us, that distracts us from our salah. If someone's talking in the back, that distracts us. And now we see examples like this. We see this vast difference between the salahs of our own salahs and the salah of the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum. And we begin to think that what is the reason? That why is there this vast difference between us? That we also pray 5 times a day, the Sahaba radhiyallahu anhum prayed 5 times a day. That what is causing this vast difference? That although we might do the same actions as the Sahaba, although we might also come for Fajr, Asr, Maghrib, whatever salah it is, but the batini aspect, the inner aspect of the salah is completely different. That when I start praying my salah and I say Allahu Akbar and I raise my hands, do I actually feel like I have taken the dunya and thrown it behind my back? That salah is dialogue, munajat. It's a close conversation between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can we ever have a close dialogue with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we are still thinking about the dunya? If we are still thinking about what we did 5 minutes ago? If we are still thinking about what am I going to eat after salah? What am I going to do after salah? And every single posture of salah is submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That if I am simply doing the actions but my heart is not there, my heart is not present, my heart is somewhere else, then how is that true submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Imagine that we are in ruku', that we are in sujood, we are putting our face, the most honorable part of our body, on the floor. We are putting our face on the floor before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or at least it should be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when I am in sajda, am I truly thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or am I thinking about something else? If I am not thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I do not feel like I'm humbling myself before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in my sajda, then who are we making sajda for? That when we're praying our salah, it should feel like this type of dialogue that we're having. It should feel like everything else has left and we are standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we saw this in the stories of the Sahaba anhum, and we see in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam itself. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would be at home, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would be talking normally with his family, and then the adhan would be called. And then when the adhan would be called, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would get up and go towards salah, walking through them as if he did not even know them. And what changed? That 1 second ago he was smiling, joking, and the next second he's walking through as if he does not even recognize them. It's because he heard the adhan, the call towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the high importance that had, he dropped everything else and he left. And we see Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who was sent as rahmatul lil alameen. That in a hadith Rasulullah mentions, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ رَحْمَةً, that I have only been sent as a mercy. Now Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who would leave no stone unturned in giving hidayah and making dua for people, we see one of the few times where he sent la'nah, where he made dua against a group of people. In the battle of Ahzab, the Muslims were locked in battle against the kuffar, and the battle was so intense that they were not able to break away and perform their salah. And because of the heat of the battle, the entire salah time expired. And then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam remarked, "Mala Allahu buyutahum wa quburahum nara, habasuna an salah." That may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill their houses and their graves with fire because they held us back from salah. That this was the high regard that they had, that every single thing in their life revolved around salah. Now we have to think that yes, going to our job is important. All these other needs that we have are very important. But what is the cornerstone of our life? Is it that I'm at work, I'm with my family, and if I have time to pray, if I have time to come to the masjid, then I'll do it? Or is it that I must come to the masjid, so I must make time to go? There's a very small difference, but it's a very important difference. That in one, we're making time for the salah, that the salah times are flexible. If I have time for it, then I'll pray. If I don't, then I'll just pray at home. Or I'll just pray if I have time. Another one is that I must pray. That I must make time. Whether I think I can do or I cannot, I must make some time for my salah. I must make some time to come to the masjid. Right? And so when this perspective changes, then we'll begin to see a change. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. That indeed salah, it prevents you, it stops you from going toward lewdness, prevents you and stops you from going towards those things which are wrong. And there's a very famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that a man came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said that, "O Rasulullah, what do you say about a person, he prays salah, but then after that he goes and he steals?" And then what did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say in response? He said that, "Satanhahu salatuhu," that his salah will stop him from doing that action. Now, when we hear this, we might become puzzled. That I'm praying my salah, but I'm still finding it hard to leave this habit. I'm still finding it hard to do this. I'm still finding it hard to do that. And the ayah is saying that if a person prays, then it will stop him from doing those things which are wrong. But we're missing a key factor which is necessary for that, which is that the salah must be in its proper place, in the way it's supposed to be performed. Right? All throughout the Quran we see what? Aqim as-salah. That establish the salah how? Ala hay'atihi al-ma'huda, in the way that you have been commanded to do it. That with khushu' and khudu', meaning that your limbs are exactly where they're supposed to be. You're looking where you're supposed to look. Your feet are exactly how they're supposed to be. Your hands are where they're supposed to be. And that's khushu', that's outwardly. But then there's khudu' inwardly. That a person in his heart, he's concentrating towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's as if he knows Allah ta'ala is seeing me. He's aware of that every single moment of his salah. That when a person performs salah with khushu', when a person performs salah with khudu', these two aspects, then that will be a life transform. That salah will transform his entire life. That it will begin to seep into all of his other actions, and his life will transform. But if a person just thinks of salah as up and down actions, then when he's praying the salah, his heart is somewhere else, then that salah won't necessarily have the same effect. And then when we look into the lives of Sahaba anhum, seeing the huge feats they were able to perform in terms of ibadah, reading entire khatams in one night, performing 100 rak'ahs in one day, where it boggles our mind when we think about this, then it starts to make sense that because their salah was so perfect, that seeped into every single one of their actions. And when that seeped into every single one of their actions, their lives transformed. And this links back to the hadith which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions, which is reported in Tirmidhi on the authority of Abu Hurairah anhu. He mentions, أَوَّلُ مَا يُحَاسَبُ بِهِ الْعَبْدُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ مِنْ عَمَلِهِ صَلَاتُهُ. That the first thing a person will be asked about on the Day of Judgment will be his salah. فَإِنْ صَلُحَتْ فَقَدْ أَفْلَحَ وَأَنْجَحَ. That if it's found to be sound, then he is successful. And why is that? Because if his salah is sound, the effect of that will seep into all of his other actions, and all of his other actions will also be correct. But then the hadith goes on to say, فَإِن فَسَدَتْ, that if it's fasid, if it's not proper, فَقَدْ خَابَ وَخَسِرَ. That if this person cannot even perform salah properly, then the effect of that will seep into the rest of his actions, and all his other actions will also be just as useless. So now, when we hear this, we think that, okay, how can I begin to fix my salah? How can I make it close to the way and start reaching the salah of the Sahaba anhum, the salah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That we need to actively make an effort for this. That when we're performing our salah, we cannot think of a salah just by itself in a vacuum. Rather, when we're performing our salah, there are certain prerequisites for salah. For example, a person, he will walk for salah. He will perform wudu. So now when a person is performing wudu, he is getting ready for salah, he should be in the mindset as if I am already in salah. And what do I mean by that? That he's making wudu, he should only be focusing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That he should be thinking that every single limb that I am washing, as the water falls, my sins are falling. That when he's already sitting there for salah, maybe just 2-3 minutes, he begins to think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He begins to remove all these thoughts of whatever he's doing before, whatever he's going to do after, he starts to slowly filter that out. So that now when the salah starts, he's already in the zone. He is ready. That right when he says Allahu Akbar, he's already thrown the dunya behind him. And he's thinking that I am in front of my Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And another thing that we can try to implement is learning what we are saying. That many times we're reciting these surah, we're reciting قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ النَّاسِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ إِنَّا أَعْطَيْنَاكَ الْكَوْثَرَ, but we have no idea what that means. That if we take the extra step to learn what these verses are saying, then that will create an extra connection in our salah. We will know what Allah Ta'ala is actually saying to us. Right? And beyond that, when we're trying to learn, how do we go about that? We can pick up translations. We can attend different programs of ulama. Our prime opportunity is over here in Darul Salam, where the Tanweer Intensive will be starting. We have different programs on the weekend. The Tanweer Intensive will be focusing on for 1 year for learning Arabic. That the students over here for 1 year intensively, they learn the Arabic language. They learn the meanings of the Quran. They learn the meanings of different ad'iyah. Not only that, but they go into books of fiqh, where they learn the different matters of halal and haram. Right? They learn that what breaks the salah, what's considered mustahab, what's considered necessary for the salah, such that if you don't have it, the salah will break. What's considered something which is good to have. Not so that you can leave it, but so that you can add it to your salah. Right? And another thing is that, how do we continuously pray our salah? That one thing is the quality of our salah. But the second thing is that, how do we continuously maintain the habit of never missing a single salah? Number one is that, yes, the importance has to be there. But if a person has no qada salahs, no salahs to make up, then it's very easy because he knows his slate is clean. If my slate is clean, how can I go and miss a salah? The importance will always be there. But what if a person has a lot of missed salahs? Then what does he do? That number one, he starts making those salahs up. Because now he's building that same level of importance that every single salah I missed, I will slowly start making that up. And so now, if he will be discouraged from ever missing a salah. And if he does miss a salah, he will make it up right away. Right? And how will a person estimate that? He can just look to see, okay, I didn't pray salah from this year to this year. Right? I didn't pray salah from this month to this month. I missed it for those days. And he can just estimate. It doesn't have to be an exact number, but he estimates how many salahs he's missed, and he slowly starts making them up and building that importance for salah. Right? So when he builds this importance for salah, and he continuously, number one, starts praying his salah, and number two, he builds the quality of his salah, then the salah will have a transformative effect into his life. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to continuously improve in our salah and to gain this khushu', this awareness where every single part of our body should be, and this khudur, where our heart is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and salah. Wa akhiru da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Everyone can stand up and perform the sunnahs inshallah. Just a few announcements. Please pass the donation boxes from left to right and donate generously. Be mindful of those that are still praying. Just pass it from behind them. The Tanweer Intensive Audit Week for brothers and sisters is from coming Tuesday, August 13th through August 16th. This will give an opportunity for students to experience the Dar Islam Tanweer classroom before college starts. Tanweer Intensive is Dar Islam's flagship one-year Islamic studies program, which offers a unique curriculum combining the language of the Quran with core subjects including Aqidah, Seerah, Fiqh, etc. This monthly seminar, Cradle to the Grave, the Obligation of Learning, will be this on Friday, August 16th after Maghrib Salah with Maulana Tahseen Khan, Hafidhahullah, the faculty of Dar es-Salaam Seminary. Tafhim Weekend Islamic Studies Program, enrollment for fall 2024 is now open. The fall semester begins August 17th. Visit masjidds.org for enrollment. The importance of pursuing Islamic knowledge continues throughout all stages of one's life. After fulfilling the obligations of worship and the need to seek sustenance, one should participate in studying Islam as much as they are able to. The Tafhim program focuses on providing educational opportunities for eager learners of all age on a part-time basis. The Maktab after-school program, the registration is now open for it for boys age 7 and above and girls age 6 and above. Please enroll your kids on masjidds.org/Quran with Tajweed/. Join us with our weekly programs. Team Fajr will resume tomorrow. Fajr Iqam will be at 5:15 a.m. Tuesday Tafsir will continue after Maghrib Salah with Mufti Alimuddin and Surah Ghafir. And the weekly Urdu Seerah program, which just started every single Thursday, will be after Maghrib Salah. Please save the date for Seerah Conference, the Prophet's Family, Ahlul Bayt in Sunni tradition, on Friday, September 13th and Saturday, September 14th. Save the date to join Dar Islam's annual benefit dinner at Shalimar Banquets on Saturday, October 5th, 2024. More details will be coming soon, inshallah. So please save the date for our 7th annual winter intensive, Saturday, December 21st to Tuesday, December 24th. And the details for this will be coming soon, inshallah, as well.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله الأكرم الذي خلق الإنسان وكرم وعلمه من البيان ما لم يعلم، فسبحان الذي لا يحصى امتنانه باللسان ولا بالقلم. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله الذي أوتي جوامع الكلم وكرائم الحكم ومكارم الشيم، صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه نجوم الطريق الأمم. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه العزيز بعد نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال تعالى: أتل ما أوحي إليك من الكتاب وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله تعالى عنه قال: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: أول ما يحاسب به العبد يوم القيامة من عمله صلاته، فإن صلحت فقد أفلح وأنجح، وإن فسدت فقد خاب وخسر. رواه الترمذي، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم، ونفعنا وإياكم بما فيه من الآيات والذكر الحكيم. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له، ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تبارك وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر، وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر، وأصدقهم حياء عثمان. وقيل: وأقضاهم علي، وفاطمة سيدة نساء أهل الجنة، والحسن والحسين سيدا شباب أهل الجنة، وحمزة أسد الله وأسد رسوله رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اغفر للعباس وولده مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة لا تغادر ذنبا. الله في أصحابي لا تتخذوهم غرضا من بعدي، فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم، ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم، وخير القرون قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان، اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين، اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم واجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا تجعلنا منهم. عباد الله رحمكم الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي، يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله تعالى يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم، ولذكر الله تعالى أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمد رسول الله، أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
سووا صفوفكم واعتدلوا. Please join your lines, fill up any gaps in front of you. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. القارعة ما القارعة وما أدراك ما القارعة يوم يكون الناس كالفراش المبثوث وتكون الجبال كالعهن المنفوش فأما من ثقلت موازينه فهو في عيشة راضية وأما من خفت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي نار حامية. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
So there's a request for dua, so we'll make dua, inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Ya Allah, those of us who have passed away, Ya Allah, grant them Jannatul Firdaus, Ya Allah, make their qabr rawdatun min riyadul Jannah, wa la taj'alhu hufratan min hufarin nar. Ya Allah, those of us who sick are in the ICU, who are in the emergency, Ya Allah, grant them a swift recovery, Ya Allah. La ba'sa tahurun insha'Allah, la ba'sa tahurun insha'Allah, la ba'sa tahurun insha'Allah. Wa sallallahu ta'ala ala khayri khalqihi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa ala alihi wa ahli baytihi wa azwajihi wa ashabihi wa atba'ihi ajma'in, walhamdulillah رب العالمين. Inshallah, next weekend there will be an Ijtama at Jamia Masjid on 16th, 17th, and 18th. Everyone requested to participate.